Welcome to Magical Aspirations, a podcast for magical people,
where we aspire to gather all of the knowledge that magic has to offer.
A place to illuminate and demystify all things magical.
We are your magical co-hosts. I am Annalisa.
Reverend Raven here.
Adriana.
Tune in every Tuesday where we're dropping new episodes every week about our own personal magical stories.
Have a spanking good time.
And sprinkle some interviews in between.
There is so much magic here. Keep coming back every week. Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Stay magical.
Hello, magical people. We hope that you all are having a magical week as always. Your favorite co-hosts are back here. I am Annalisa, and I've got Adriana and Becky, also Reverend Raven, here with me today. Say hello, ladies.
Cuckoo.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, we've got a new kind of series coming out for you guys. We decided that we're going to talk all about elemental magic. And since it's Gemini season, how could we do anything other than start talking about air magic? Cue the Avatar music.
Yes.
So if we're going to be talking about the elements, I'm going to talk about Avatar a lot, people. So
Absolutely.
Move on. How are you guys doing this week, my ladies?
We're here. We're present.
We are
hanging in there.
We're doing good. Good. That's a good place to be, I would say.
I am appreciative for... Yeah, I was going to say I'm appreciative for the air energy right now. The winds of change are here. And that's why I'm saying that I'm here. So I am packing up my life and getting ready to move back to Indiana to my family's farm. And this time next week, I will be in my new home.
Ooh.
That is so exciting. Oh my goodness.
Winds of change are here.
Absolutely.
And they are. Things are sweeping through. It is so fascinating that as you start to pay attention to this, not just like the weather seasons, but the zodiac seasons as well. Being an air season, it definitely feels lighter. It's not as heavy. Taurus season was definitely, the earth was pulling you down. And now I certainly feel it almost has that spring feel to it. Like that spring has sprung energy, exciting kind of feel, which is really nice.
I would agree. I've gotten a lot of new ideas and inspiration while I am, going through like the purging process of getting rid of things that have been holding me back. And, that was energetically tied to a few seasons ago. We talked a lot about making room for new. And now that like the newness is coming, I have so many ideas that are just like popping into my head. About my new life and all of the cool different things that I'm going to be doing. So that's really exciting to me, just that inspiration that the air energy brings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Taurus season is almost one of my least favorite seasons. I love Taurus people, but the season itself knocks me out. It's so heady and like heavy, and Gemini season comes in like a breath of motherfucking fresh air, and I'm just like, yes, this is what I needed.
Very much so. Like when that ostrich finally pulls its head out of the earth and like,
that's the one.
Oh, yes. There's
I love that you said that about the ostrich, because I always associate birds with air magic as well.
Yes.
Always.
And I know we're going to talk more about that later, but I just wanted to chime in since you already brought up a bird.
Well, and of course, you started with the bird, which are caca from the very beginning. That is one of my favorite things. I love it so much. Caca, in here. So you guys know by now, we tend to play this pretty loosey-goosey. We don't really have a structure. Just going to kind of talk about air magic, how it's different for us, kind of different tools that we use. Obviously, we're already talking about how air magic itself just feels different. To jump off, though, I'm fascinated. What's your favorite type of air magic?
Okay, so I like to put things out to the wind. So if I
Mm.
have an idea or something that I'm getting rid of, either way, whether it's something that I want to manifest or it's something that I want to get rid of, you can write it like on a piece of paper and like cut it up into little strips and then let the
Mm.
the wind like take it away.
I love that. Why
I
have
do
I never thought
too.
to I've spoken things into the wind before, but I like that visual of like tearing up or cutting up the paper and letting it kind of scatter like a what are those? The wishy flowers. Brain
Yeah,
fart.
like a dandelion.
Yes, yes,
Mhm,
Yeah,
yes.
mhm,
like the
mhm.
I
little
love that.
seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's precious. I have two. My first favorite would be, of course, prayer, as it is
Mm.
a spoken, breathy type of practice. But then my second favorite would be being in the wind, especially when I'm angry or sad or just like
Mm.
having a rough time and just feeling the wind. Cause I don't know, every single time it just does something. It's like, hey, it's okay. Things are going to be fine. And just wisping that hard, sad energy out of my heart. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think that's definitely my second
That
favorite.
gives
Mhm.
me the you've talked about previously the like spirit blanket. Like
Mm,
it feels like
mhm,
a
mhm.
hug, like here, let me take
Yes.
that from you and wrap you in something
Yes.
different. Oh, I love. Okay, so the common thread between those two things that oh wait, you said you have a second one. Was that both of them? Did I miss that?
Yeah, prayer
Prayer.
and
Prayer
yeah.
and okay,
Mhm,
that's right.
mhm,
So it's all about communication because that is
mhm.
actually also my favorite form of air magic would be this podcast. It is
Ooh.
such a good example of like when you think of podcasts and things like that make me think of like old time radio, right?
Mm,
Like TV wasn't a thing. The only way we had to communicate was either by written word or spoken word. Um and like it's still I know it's science. I know the science has proven how it works, but like that shit is magic. Like to be able for us to sit here and talk and soon we're going to be in three completely different states, but to still have this platform to do this and then the words that we say, I know we all believe in spelling and talking and things like that. That is magic in of itself. So this is my
mhm.
favorite form of air magic.
Oh, how poetic of you.
Thank you.
I love it.
And
That
then
is actually a huge testament to Gemini season because I the
mm,
same. There's a storytelling project that I'm working on that I like. Inspiration is just like there. I've got post-its and notes everywhere.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's really divine how Gemini season came in at the end of the retrograde of
Mm,
Mercury and the shadow
yes.
period. Like we are literally a few days away from it all being over. So it's been
Yes.
it's lighter, especially in the head area and talking
Yes.
wise. So yeah, I feel that.
Mhm.
Yes. Oh, I
Mm.
love
My
it.
guitar here is wanting me to say to mention music. And
Yes.
Mm,
how powerful
mhm,
music is for air magic. The tones and the sounds that you
mhm.
play and listen to can help you, with a lot of different magical practices. And music has been used, for centuries
Yeah.
to help, with your magical practices. It's really
Mhm.
neat because this is my husband's acoustic guitar and it's hung up on a rack on the wall. And every time I go to clear my throat, it echoes. I hear the strings. It plays music whenever I clear my throat. So that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. That was another thing that I wanted to talk about air magic too is sound and music.
Sound,
And
yeah.
that's such a like how can you deny that music is such a potent do y'all have like a specific music that y'all like when y'all are doing magical workings? Like is there something y'all
Mm,
feel like really encourages the vibe? Because sometimes for me it's silence.
Mhm.
mhm, mhm.
Sometimes it is silence.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I used to, in my younger witch days, I was very much, oh, it has to be ambiance and I have to set the mood with this soft, magical music. But now I'm just like, if I'm doing something that requires some oomph, some extra, whoa, then I need that music to be like really vibrant, whether it's my middle school playlist or
Yes.
it's just like old songs, maybe it's Disney songs, like I don't know, but it needs to like pump me up. So I think it just depends on whatever I'm working on or trying to call forth to boost either the ritual itself or to give me some extra oomph if I'm especially on the lower energy days.
Yeah. I would say it just depends on what I'm trying to do. I am a huge lover of music, so I cannot be in the car and not have music playing. I'm always listening to music, and so it just kind of depends on what I'm trying to do, the intention, but also kind of like Adriana said, how I'm already feeling, and so I'm choosing the music to take how I'm currently feeling to what I want to be, and it helps me with that manifestation.
Yeah.
And something that I, for a long time didn't sing because I didn't like my voice. And so, like, I wouldn't sing, in front of other people and things like that. I would only just like belt out the song in my car when nobody was listening, kind of deal, because I didn't like the way that my voice sounded. And then I realized that there's a lot of power in my voice. And so it doesn't really matter if I'm quote unquote good at singing. The power is still there behind my voice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That I love that you have grown into loving that, just because I see, like we all know the scientific, like you mentioned, the scientific benefits of music, but to be able to let me get my words together. It's like a new barrier has broken within you physically because you're now free to let sound come out of you whenever and however that you're feeling it. It's almost like how they say you're
Oop. Hello? Is anyone there? Hello.
I'm here.
Okay.
I was being
Adriana.
quiet. We lost
Okay.
Adriana.
We lost Adriana.
Yeah, her little bar is like not moving at all.
Yeah. That's all right. She will come back. Come back, Adriana.
She probably doesn't know that we can't hear her.
Neat.
okay.
Oh, there she is. Hi.
She's here twice.
And now just once.
That's crazy. I could hear y'all.
Okay.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
maybe she doesn't know we can't hear her.
Right. That's why I was like, hold on, let me say something. Okay. Do you remember what you were saying? Because keep going.
I was just saying, like in my brain, it just reminds me of a chakra opening and you being free to sing out loud in front of people is almost that same thing. Yeah, that's really where I ended.
Yeah.
I during ritual this last time when we had our group ritual, we had a session where people were all playing instruments and they all picked up different musical instruments, and I decided to use my voice as an instrument. So there wasn't any like words or anything like that I had picked up. I just was making noise with my voice going along with what they were playing and kind of setting the tone of what we were doing magically with my voice.
Yeah, that's some juicy shit right there.
Isn't that like you are so I'm sure you know, but you probably don't because you're wonderful. You are so friggin' powerful.
Yeah.
Like Becky did my wedding, wonderful, efficient, Reverend Raven. If you need it for your wedding, just call her. I recently went back and watched the video of the ceremony, which I had not done since then. And like, You made my sister weep. Now, granted, she was pregnant, so she was an emotional wreck anyway. But like, her and I have talked about that a couple times because she was supposed to do a little poem reading for us, and like, girlfriend like could barely even make it through because she was like, Becky opened her mouth and like, I don't know what happened. I just felt emotions, and that is something I can remember the first time I've just told this story before about when you spoke at our friend Lauren's funeral. You, in that moment, I was sitting next to someone that I did not particularly care for. And it was a huge group of people. Like, this Lauren had a huge group of friends, huge group of family. Can't even tell you how many people were in the room. But this gentleman and I that were sitting next to each other had a not great working relationship, but we both cared deeply for Lauren, our friend who passed. And as Becky was speaking, I was moved with emotion, obviously, because Becky is able to help move. Adriana, when you were talking about like the chakra things, like opening, like I felt that feeling in that moment of Becky when you were speaking of the emotion of grief kind of moving through. And the gentleman next to me that, whatever, he just put his hand on my leg and like, not like a creepy, weird way, just a comforting that was very out of character for him. And like, I don't know if that's something that he would have done without the encouragement of the emotion you were able to move and evoke. Does that make sense?
Wow.
Yeah. You powerful bitch, you.
Take it in. Take it in. Absolutely.
I feel like whenever I'm speaking that sometimes things come out that I don't know that I'm going to say.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm channeling a message, and it seems like that's happening more and more.
Yeah. I mean, look at your name, Reverend Raven. Please.
Come on now.
Please.
Come on now. Aptly named, I would say.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then we get to come, back to this podcast. We get to come and do this. I hear Zelda barking agreements in the background. Thank you, girl.
That's actually Harlow.
Yes.
Our Gemini dog is very much saying, yes, I'm here.
Yes, I'm here. All of the dogs have been very vocal today.
Yes.
They all have messages to communicate.
That's so funny. I was just getting ready to say that, normally when we record, it's like not a big deal. Maybe once at the beginning, the dogs will bark and then it's like, that's it. But in all three of our homes, our dogs are very chatty today.
Yes.
So they're feeling that Gemini season.
That's right. That's right.
I was gonna say that thinking about you choosing your tone reminded me of a time when I was doing a lot of ancestor work, specifically at my altar, and how they had told me, like, don't like come with prayers or come with like, I want to do this, or talking, just like start humming. And so I spent a good couple of weeks, just every time I came to my altar, I was just humming. And when I tell you, by the end of whenever I was there, I would be in tears, absolute tears, just from the hums. I don't know, they were just breaking up the energy. And sometimes it felt like I was humming as other, and then sometimes it felt like I was humming like a woman. And it was just wild, absolutely wild experience for me. But from that moment on, I will tell people, just hum at your altar. Just sit there and hum. Don't feel like you need to have anything to say, or if you want to be in silence, absolutely stand for that. But sometimes the movement, that vocal cord, will do more than you probably ever would have trying to do something else.
Well, as you're talking, it's making me think of or feel like the vibrations. Like, it just helps to keep the stagnancy moving. What a powerful, simple little bit of magic humming is. Fascinating. Fascinating.
Absolutely. Yeah. We love air.
We do.
Do y'all have air in y'all chart? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to start talking about that. So my two closest people in my life, my best friend that we've been friends since we were 5, and my husband, they're both Geminis. So nice. But I also have hold on, I'm having a brain fart. Libra, my moon is Libra.
That's right. That's
Mm.
right.
Mhm.
Oh,
So I
juicy.
do have, yeah, ooh, let me see. I can quickly pull up the rest of the, I meant to do this beforehand. My Mars is in Gemini, my Jupiter's in
Mm.
Gemini, my Lilith is in Libra.
Mm. Mm.
And
Okay,
yeah,
you got quite a bit
that's
of air
me.
over there.
I do more than I realize, more than I realize. But the thing that I love about, of course, okay, it's Avatar time, guys. If anybody has seen the second installment where they talk about Korra, the waterbender, she's the next
Mm-hmm.
Avatar after Avatar Aang. In that series bit, they highlight a lot of combination bending, which I think is a much more accurate representation of types of things like that. Because one of my favorites is the lava benders, a combination of the
Yes.
fire benders and the earth benders. And so I find it fascinating that the two people that are really just about the closest to me, they fuel my fire.
Mm-hmm.
I could not exist without that air, I don't think.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, especially when that flame is like barely there. And
Well,
you need
right. And
that
how do you
extra.
stifle fire? You take all
Yeah.
of its fucking air away.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so magical. How does it feel having a
about you?
Libra moon?
That is something I have only just recently begun to navigate. So
Fair.
it's fascinating. It's also my exact opposite. So Libra is the opposite of Aries.
Mhm.
So I don't know yet.
I'll check back in soon.
Yeah, it's the last thing I always want to work on because it's like,
Interesting.
What about y'all? What about you guys?
I don't think I have any air. I'm trying to look right now. I have my Saturn is in Libra, like 29 degrees.
Ooh.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And that's it.
That's enough.
Yeah,
That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't.
So I'm interested in trying to figure out more about that with, Saturn's current placements. Like, what is that going to mean for me? That's what I want to look into.
Yeah.
All I know, now granted, we all know we're not master astrologers. I know being the 29th degree of anything means like that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's the last step before it starts over.
Right.
So knowing that, because my Aries is 29 degree Aries, so like I am big fire. You are actually big air. Like
and
you're a lot of
my
fire.
Saturn.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I was doing an energy class, and at the beginning of it there's a table and it helps you to figure out what is your primary element that you use for your magic and to move energy. And you put on a blindfold and you just see which things that you gravitate towards. And
fascinating.
I picked up both of the air things right away. And then for the second thing, I picked up a fire. So, and after I was done, the guy that was helping me, my friend Cortland, he was like, I wasn't surprised. Like, he's like, that's what I thought that it was going to be before you did it. And I always see myself as a fire elemental magical practitioner. That everything is fire. And it's just really funny to hear you say that about if you don't have the air, your fire will be extinguished. Because I am using more and more air energy in my magic, with all of the communication and, words and putting things together with the community. Like whenever I was recording for last week's episode, that little intro, it was like, oh yeah, I use all of this air.
Isn't that
Fascinating.
fascinating?
It's like I'm using air, but I am fire.
Oh,
If that makes
juicy.
sense.
It
It
100%.
yeah, I think we both can relate very closely to that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
yes, I totally know
absolutely.
what you mean by that.
Yeah. And
What
okay,
about you, Adri? Yeah.
okay, before I get to me, Becky, I took a quick peek. What is Saturn in Libra? So it's very justice oriented, very much decision maker, fairness, wanting to like make sure relationships are solid, independence versus collaboration, just like all those things. So,
Oh, that's a very Becky description.
Okay, so for me, I have no air in my main chart. I do have a couple of air
Interesting.
placements in my like houses, but as far as the planets, no air. I'm mostly fire and water with a taint of earth, a taint. So
Interesting.
yeah,
What does that feel like?
it is. She's wild.
Right.
It is very emotional.
Steamy.
Yeah, very intense. And I do quite adore air heavy people. My best friend is an air sign. The people who I gravitate towards to just like shoot the shit with tend to be air signs. I love Aquariuses so much. And Libras are very very fascinating to me as well. We're kind of distant, but that makes sense. We're sister signs. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I think air is beautiful. I think I do use it a lot because I don't have it. I don't want to say have it naturally, but for lack of better words, I don't have it naturally. So yeah, there's that.
I might stand to disagree with that, actually, ma'am.
Well, excuse me.
Well, only because in the sense of that, if you think of like air magic in the form of like breath work, like you are always one of the first people to stop and tell me to take a deep breath.
This is fixed. This is fixed. Yeah.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah, because I don't know, because I know, how do I describe it? If I don't breathe, it's really easy for me to get stuck in my body. It's really easy for my emotions to overwhelm me. It's really easy for me to slip into a deep, dark dungeon. So breath work is the saving grace. So that's why I'm like, let me offer this piece of magic to other people too. So it's okay.
Because it's so powerful. Like, come on. It's the simplest thing that we can do is just breathing. And like, I'll be like bustling around work sometimes and I'll all of a sudden just go, and people are like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, just reminding myself to breathe. Cause you know, I'm breathing like this. Like there's not even anything going on. It's just in that interesting. So for someone who has such lack of air, like to recognize what the movement of air, how much that assists you. Interesting.
Very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like whenever I'm at work or I'm like thinking about a difficult situation, I'll with my anxiety, I'll start to feel like nauseous. And then it's like, wait a minute, why don't I just like take some deep breaths? And then a lot of times I can at least get that feeling to pass, you know?
Yeah.
Because it'll not even be something that serious, but I'm like, you know, kind of holding my breath and starting to feel sick to my stomach. And then I'll feel my heart rate increase. And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Very interesting. Yeah. That makes me think about how water and air feel quite similar to me. And I love water. I am a water baby through and through. Everybody who reads me is like, oh, you have some water spirits. I'm like, yes, no, move on. No.
We're well acquainted.
Yes, we know. But only in the past couple of years have I been connecting with bird magic, which is also the air. So it's like, where's the connection there?
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
interesting to me too because air and water both flow. And so it's like how they move is similar. It's just in a different fashion, but it
Yeah.
is, there are air waves and there are water waves,
Yeah.
obviously. So it's interesting the way that they both move is very similar.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
And like they will both always follow the path of least resistance. And because in thinking about preparation for this episode, it cracks me up when we always end up on the same wavelength, because I was thinking about music specifically. Music almost feels more water energy than air energy, even though it's still communication. And that's just to me.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but not speak like this. This is air. This is talking. But I don't. There is something about, and it might be. Oh, this is me verbal processing this. Like it might be the music moves me. Like I feel. So like think of it in the ocean, how the water moves you. When I feel like a rush of emotion from music, it feels much the same.
Oh. That's so cool.
Okay. I can get down with that.
I like it. Oh, this is why I love this stuff, because here we are all relating to the same element, but it shows up in a myriad of ways.
Right. Magic is dope. I'm always going to keep saying that.
This stuff is cool.
This stuff is really cool.
So let's talk about the birds.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, I think I've got everything else.
In the music. Yes.
Yep, I've got.
Yeah, what's that?
I forget what it's called, but it's a little instrument that I got from Costa Rica, and it has a bunch of metal like pins on the end of it, and you just.
Oh yes, that thing.
Oh,
that's very much Avatar.
See, like, doesn't that sound like water? Like, it sounds like water drops.
That's impressive.
I can see that. That's why I was like,
yeah.
I just looked over and there's like literally a pile of instruments beside me. And I was like, oh, this one. This one wants to be played. And my husband is a very musical person. He loves to play all different kinds of music and use so many different kinds of instruments. It's really neat to see him put things together, and he is the Pisces in the family.
Yeah.
So, kind of relating that with the water and music
part. Yeah. Too. Well, and I was gonna say one of my favorite things to listen to him play is his flute.
Yeah. He loves playing the flute, and there are a lot of different occasions where other people will be drumming, and our friend Chris will be playing the harp and things like that, and the flute is the thing that he gravitates towards the most. And the flute definitely is air energy to me. You're using wind to make the noise, and there's a lot of power in that, and it always is peaceful. Sometimes when he makes music, it's not so peaceful. But the flute seems peaceful to me.
Yeah. I love that. And I do think that is a good segue into the birds because of like the bird cries.
Yes. Yes.
How have the birds been talking to y'all lately?
We have, so now that it's springtime, the little eastern bluebirds are out to play. And recently they, like, when I'm walking, there's a cluster of them, and I don't know, it's just like sometimes they'll like fly over my head and I'm like, oh my god, is there a lot of chaos going on? And then time that day, there will be a lot of chaos going on. It's like, fuck, okay, thank you. But really, now that it's nesting, mating, baby season for the birds, it's just been really fascinating to just watch the birds communicate, watch them be territorial, feed each other and things like that. So it's been very entertaining, yet also I think each season I'm learning something new about birds recently. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say that they have just been very active lately. There's been a lot going on the bird TV.
Yeah, definitely.
Every time I go for a walk, I'll hear, something, someone giving a different kind of call than maybe I've never heard before, or a different species of bird, some kind of commotion where I will like stop what I'm thinking about and notice it. And like usually whenever I go for a walk, I have headphones in, and I have not been doing that lately. And so I've been able to like really hear them and like focus on the calls and things like that. And usually what I do when something like that happens is I'll just kind of stop in that moment and like listen and see like what thoughts come to mind. And I do enjoy watching them, interact with each other and things like that. But I try to think like, what are they thinking? What are they experiencing right now?
Yes.
Like in their bird life.
Right. And sometimes they have extremely human responses. They're building a house next door to me. So part of my woodland fairy tale has no more. But it was fascinating to watch the first few days after they like cleared the trees and stuff, to see a bunch of the animals that were on the fringes of my yard kind of shift all the way into my yard now. And the woodpeckers. There have been these two woodpeckers that I can tell they're the same ones because they have these distinct little markings. And the first day after they cleared all these trees, I was sitting on my porch just kind of watching everything. And this one little woodpecker came like within, 10 or so feet of me and was like sitting on the tree and literally being like,
telling you about his day.
I was like, bro, I know, like they took your home. I'm sorry. I was like, you are welcome to stay here. And they stay here now. So,
oh, baby.
my sweet little woodpeckers. And there was this new bird that we had been hearing it. It's a nocturnal something. Oh, I can't remember for the life of me what it's called right now. It has the most distinct call of maybe almost any bird I've heard in person. I'll have to send you guys or see if I can post a little clip, but it's this little brown nocturnal bird, who it was actually very fascinating. We couldn't figure out what it was. And my husband was able to identify it. And almost within a day or two after he figured out what it was, we didn't hear it anymore.
Shut up.
So fascinating, right? Like, did you just want to tell me that you are living in my yard? Because you are welcome. Obviously.
Oh my goodness.
And I have not heard that. And it's like it's a very distinct, like it's similar, I think, to maybe the whippoorwill call. I think he said. I'll have to ask him. He'll know for sure. But yeah, it's just this ugly, fascinating little brown nocturnal bird that is like ugly cute type of, like it's got this like flat little face. But I thought that was interesting that once it was named, it was like, okay, cool, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. I just love birds. They're so fascinating.
I know. I'm officially a 60-year-old lady that just likes to sit and bird watch in her backyard.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, Lori and I went to the park the other day for coffee. We picked up coffee and then went and sat at the park, and we were watching the birds and the squirrels, and they were all interacting with each other. And I saw a bird go after a squirrel. And three different kinds of birds, and one that was like really aggressive, and he like behaviorally reminded me of a blue jay, but he wasn't a blue jay. So I'm
Mm.
curious to figure out what kind of bird that was. But he definitely had that corvid type, mentality and how he held himself, and he was picking fights with the squirrels and things like that. So
What did he look like?
he was had a white body and then black markings around his face and wings, and had like a
Interesting.
higher pitch compared to like his body size. Is a lot of
Uh-huh.
times you think like the small birds have the
Mm,
higher
mhm,
pitched
mhm.
calls,
Mhm.
but that's not the case sometimes, and that was like that wasn't the case with him. Like he had a pretty big body and he had a really high pitch chirp.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Very, very. I
And
think that
The
yesterday
bird
I
nerd in me
saw
is like, I need to
Yeah,
know
me
what it
too. I was
is.
like, literally
yesterday
me Googling white birds with black markings on face.
Yeah.
an osprey yesterday when we were on a walk. I was like, what?
Yes.
Yes.
And then there was this tiny bird who was like right beside him on the line, on the light pole. And I was like, are you asking to get eaten? Like he was just like following him around. And I was like, dude, that is a predator. Like
Maybe they're friends.
he was just like following him. I was like, what the hell are you doing? Do you want to
Little tiny
die?
bird said, "This is my friend."
This
I was like,
he's gonna take
"What?"
care of me, so we're cool. We're cool.
Like, okay, well.
Oh my goodness.
What bird politics must be going on there? Like, doesn't it make you wonder? Like, what?
I know.
Like,
I
what is
gotta
the
know.
order?
I gotta know. I know,
Yeah.
right? Right? Like,
What
are
is
you
the
like?
order?
Are you just
Yeah.
like his tax guy? Like, what are you just having a meeting? Like, what's happening?
Right.
Exactly. I think that one of the funniest, I guess, interactions is always when mockingbirds and crows go at it.
Oh my
Because,
god.
oh my
Yes.
God. Sometimes crows, they'll just minding their business, and mockingbird will just see it and just be like, get out of my
Right.
yard.
Mockingbirds are
Yeah.
dicks.
They
When
are
I was
such
working
bullies.
Yeah.
when I was working in New Orleans, I worked like on St. Charles Avenue. So like there was like not a lot of greenery to be had. And so we would like take like one of the back blocks to go walk the dogs and stuff. And there was this one mockingbird mama that like no matter her nest was like so far up in the tree that like us walking on the sidewalk, we were just like minding our own business. She would like dive bomb you, like to where
Oh
like you had
my
to like
God.
cross the street and pass her to go back to your side of the street. Like she was not playing. She was not playing. Like the cats that would hang around there. I saw that mama mockingbird take on like a New Orleans street cat and win. I was
Wow.
like, that cat was
Wow.
like, I'm not doing
That's
this.
impressive.
Like,
Not
it
today.
really was. Not
Yeah,
today. Not
they are.
today.
So if you want some territory, fighter, warrior magic, you need
That's
to channel
right.
Mockingbird.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
and now that you say that, that might have been some messages of like, bitch, mind your boundaries, because
Ooh.
I was not at that time.
Okay, that is
Wow.
20/20 vision right there.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Oh
Isn't that how it
God.
always works? So.
Yep.
It really is. It really is.
Mm.
There's my woodpecker. Hey, little friend.
Like, hey, you're talking about me.
And yes, and my husband just told me it's the Chuck's Will's widow is the bird,
What?
the little
I gotta
nocturnal
Google
night
that.
brown bird. So go ahead and give
Chuck's
that a quick little.
Will's-
It's this ugly, cute little smoosh faced brown bird.
Oh, look at the nugget.
Isn't it cute? With its like, it looks like leaves.
Oh,
Oh, it looks like a frog almost.
yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's a little ugly cute.
Yeah,
The
literally.
first picture, I thought it looked like a reptile for sure.
Yeah.
The
That's
first
what
one
I
pops
thought
up, I was like,
also.
what?
It's evidently one of those
Wow.
like masters of camouflage. So when y'all get a minute, listen to its weird little bird call because it's
Oh my
interesting.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow, I have never in my life.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated.
Who knew that
know,
part
like-
2 of this episode was just going to be about ornithology? Like,
Here.
That checks out. Oh,
and
wow.
now that we are in the Birdwatchers Corner Hour, like an NPR episode. Oh my god!
Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
What a
It
cutie.
is awesome.
Huh.
I Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else about air. Oh, we had mentioned that we were going to take some pictures of some of our air magic
Yeah, tools. Yep.
reminding y'all on the air so that way we can be held accountable to actually doing that.
I took a picture yesterday of my biggest wand.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I figured that would be good material for this. I have a beaver wand. It was
Ooh.
made from wood that, a beaver had cleaned. We found when we were on a rock hunting trip out in
Cute.
Arkansas. And the water level had gone down significantly. You could see like how high it had been. And I think that we were close to where their dam was. And whenever the water level went down, then we just found all of these sticks, just like on the side of the bank there that had been chewed up by beavers. And then we affixed a quartz point to the end of it.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
It's really
Post
cool.
a picture of that.
Yeah.
Post a picture of that.
And I figured some of my feathers will definitely make it up there too.
Yeah, that's what I've got, a pretty bitchin' feather collection that I will be posting. I figure I'll do all of my decks because I definitely think that that's communicating and divining with spirit.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
That's totally air magic. Well, because the swords suit is such a good, it makes such a good mental picture for what air is, I find.
Yeah.
For me anyway.
Yeah. So lovely that you brought that up. Because my picture was going to be of this. I guess I call it my little mini sword just to be dramatic, but it's this metal knife that I found. I think it's actually a letter opener, but it's just, she's dramatic. And in my head, I do a lot of that cutting work, magic, air, swords type of things with it. So that's a picture. And although I can't take a picture of it, I wish I could capture the magic of like naming yourself as well, because that has been something that's come up quite a lot in thinking about how your name is said, what words are used when you say your name, and like different titles that we call ourselves, especially as we're in these spiritual practices or covens. So that's been on my mind too.
That's a lot. I'm taking some notes. That's some good food.
I know. That's I was like, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I have a magical name within my magical family. And then of course I have my Becky name, but then coming up with the Reverend Raven, that became like a pseudonym for me at the beginning of this podcast. Because Annalisa said, who do you want to be called on the podcast? And that made me be like, what? I could be called something different? Like it never even occurred to me that I could like have a different name on here.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then, started making the Facebook page for Reverend Raven and use that for my spiritual networking. And it all started
It
there.
clicks.
It does. I love that gives you, it gives you so much space to like be able to embody and be different things, because one of the things that I love about Geminis is the ability to wear different masks and be different things and different people when different things are called for. That makes me think of my own name. So I am Anna-Lisa. When I was very young, I was very adamant about that. I'm Annalisa. That is my name. And then once friends and outside influences and things, people started telling me that was a mouthful to say. And that was a weird testament to how I felt about myself. So then I shortened it and I was Anna for a very long time, until only for a very long time. Between friends, you can ask Becky, she probably met me as Anna. And that's how everybody at work referred to me. And once I left I left the toxic job at the vet that I was at, and that was when I really made a point to that. No, I am Annalisa. Like that is my name. That's who I am, and it has been an actually really like potent like pinpointing in my timeline of feeling differently about myself. I think I started feeling very poorly about myself once I left off the. I always said the hyphen is my favorite part of my name. Once I left that and the second part of my name off, like it was like part of me was missing. And now that that has been reclaimed, I feel much more whole. So that is credence to that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ashe. I love that. I I don't know, at one point I started to try to say Anna and it just say her name, her full
Say her
name,
name.
Annalisa.
Say her name. And that
Yeah.
because it's now, and it's actually the new battle that I fight now is that this show, what's the show? How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis. Her name is Annalise. And so now I'm having a new fight of no, my name is Annalisa. Like you're still leaving off one little part of who I am. And like I've had to be very adamant about it. And it's frustrating sometimes that like make it a point to say people's names correctly because it means something. Like even something as simple as it's Annalisa, not Annalisa. Like that's still not right. That's still not who I am, you know? And like I have my best friend that I've been friends with since I was 5, her name is Sarah. But one of my other best friends that I have, her name is Sarah. She is from Egyptian descent. The name is different. The way you say it is different. Sorry for my rant.
It is important though, because
it is important.
It's a thing. It captures all of who you are. So yeah, you're spot on about that.
Yeah. And I think that here, I mean, it's been happening in the United States since, you know, people were coming here and had to change their names to Ellis Island. Like it's been happening, but it's not right. You know, now, you know, I've had people tell me my name is this, but you can call me this because it's like easier or shorter or whatever. And I'm like, but I want to call you your name. Right. Like, let me practice it a couple times. If this isn't, you know, I care, I want to say it right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, and like, isn't that it's giving me the vibes of like from like myths and like legends and things like that. There's such power in like the true
in the name,
my real name, you
right.
know, like that is such a yes, totally. I hadn't thought about it like that.
And my, you know, my legal name on my birth certificate is Rebecca, but no one ever called me Rebecca. You know, as soon as I, you know, was able to be referred to as something, it was Becky with an I. And that is my identity and who I am. It's Becky. And so anybody that would call me Rebecca, I'm like, no, that's not my name, you know?
Yeah.
I definitely felt some kind of way about being called Rebecca, and even got in a big fight with my stepmom about it once.
Because you did not want to be called Rebecca. And that is so
that makes sense.
In the same way that Annalisa is so fitting for who I am. Like Rebecca gives me like office Becky vibes.
Like hoity-toity pretentious.
She's sitting in like a business suit. Like,
yes.
All the love out there to anyone whose name Rebecca.
We love you.
Super dope. My point is that's just not Becky.
That's not me. Exactly. And then because I was, you know, just recently married, but my husband and I have been dating for a very long time. Whenever we got married, and I wanted to take his name, and he was a little surprised, I think. But he was excited about it, but he was surprised because it's like, well, I've been Becky Francis for 37 years.
Right.
You know, it's like, but that was part of it to me of doing it, like making the commitment to get married, that I would take his name.
Right.
And of course, you know, anybody can make their own decision with that, whether they want to take their partner's name or not, and all of that. But to me, it was important. That was the symbol of the commitment to me.
Right. Like the doing it fully
was changing my name. Yes.
Right. No half-assing it.
But I do have Francis as part of my middle name legally. It's
Mm.
Rebecca Dawn Francis Mose.
Yeah.
Because
like it.
that's who you are now.
Mhm.
That's who
Right.
you are now. I went through a similar thought process when I was getting married also, and did decide I need to finish the paperwork, but I'm also going to change it. I refer to myself by my husband's last name. Because it's such a testament to the name part of it. It denotes change. It denotes the movement of it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Now that I am engaged, that's something I've been really, really contemplating. And
Mhm.
both of us are, because we're both very attached to our last names
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
so many reasons. Basically, she's the last of her Colemans, and
Right.
I'm the last, Lord, the girl. I'm the
Mhm.
of Lures, but that's not even my birth last name. But I took it on as a testament to how much I loved my father, and he loved me. So, he adopted me, all that thing, blah, blah, blah. But even like hyphenated last names, I'm just like, that's so long. But
Yeah.
what do you do? So I don't know. We'll have to think on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all my
Mhm.
point is that it is a really serious decision. And so take some
It
time and
is.
sit with it. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is the good thing too is that it's also something that once you can always do it after you get married also. So like that's
That's
not
also
something
true.
that needs to sit on a wedding's timeline because there's so much other bullshit going on,
That's
Yeah.
solid. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to make that decision yet.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Thank y'all.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Here
it's
with-
also interesting too because it is a tradition, in our
Mhm.
culture that the woman
Mhm.
takes the man's name. But
Mhm.
okay, what's the new tradition then? If
Right.
it's two women, like who's supposed to take whose name? And so you can just decide and do whatever the fuck you want because there are rules,
Right. There are people
Yeah.
you can make a new last name. like, you
Yeah,
can
I've
combine
seen
the
that.
letters of
Yep. The only
So,
thing with that is you would have to pay to change it.
Yes.
If you change it when you're getting married,
It's nothing extra.
then you don't have to pay. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. That just further proof that it is all a system.
right.
Yep. That's what I was just letting you know. The government
Magical
always wants their money.
aspirations. Right. Here with wedding facts and bird facts.
Love it.
And magic.
And magic. That's magic.
Oh, that is true Gemini fashion.
Right.
Isn't it though? Isn't it though? I love it. I could probably not think of any better stopping point. Do either of you ladies have anything else to cover before we sign off?
Not at all.
Well, I guess just one
No.
last thing. I love the laughter. That's definitely a power of air, in Gemini.
Oh, now that's the great ending note.
Yeah.
That is the great ending note. On
Mhm.
that, all of my magical people have a laughter-filled week. And as always, stay magical.
Stay
magical.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Magical Aspirations. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Magical Aspirations to keep up with the latest and the greatest from Annalisa, Adriana, and Reverend Raven, and to join in on the Magical Aspirations conversations. Come check out our website, magicalaspirations.com, to find bonuses from our guests, our Magical Aspirations blog, and to reach out to our magical hosts with questions, comments, reviews, or ideas for future episodes. We are so grateful for each and every one of you listening. Thank you again, and as always, stay true to your magic.